Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another broadcast here of Fast Break Live for IE Sports Radio, your week for all sports, and you're welcome to join us. Ryan Solo here tonight. D-Locke's down in the conference down in Orlando. We wish him well down there. But on tonight's show, we'll discuss the NBA Cup Finals happening Tuesday in Las Vegas. Who comes out on top between the Thunder or the Bucks? Also, I want to dive into the AJ Dybantsa signing with BYU. Could more schools with money like that make major moves for these top recruits? That's a good question right there. Also, talk around the NBA, also around college basketball as well. But this is Fast Break, live for IE Sports Radio. We're going to dive into a lot of good subjects for y'all tonight. But we're going to dive into everything, after these quick commercial breaks. After that, I'll catch you on the other side.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And what's good, everybody? This is Fast Break here for IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports. And let me do this real quick. Sorry about that. All right. Got that ugly thing out the way. But welcome to the Tonight Show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Davidson. We're going to have Fast Break here for IE Sports Radio. Do the show with one Dentarius Locke, but he's down in a conference down in Orlando, preparing for his track season with the Pitt Panthers. Yes, that Pitt the Panthers in Pittsburgh. By the way, a very good volleyball team. By the way, up there in Pittsburgh, as I've been told. But shout out to Terry Rodriguez on that. But we're gonna have a great show for y'all. Riding solo. We're going to dive in and talk about these subjects here tonight. I want to start off here. I know we kind of start off NBA stuff like that, but let's go on a different route in a sense. I want to talk about this right here. The number one player in the in the 2025 recruiting class, AJ Dybantsa signed not with Duke, not with Carolina, not with Kansas, not with Alabama, which kind of, I would say, broke my heart, but I was like, damn, dog. Like, we had you in T-Town like about 2 months ago for the Georgia game and stuff like that, and showing you the works and all that stuff. Didn't sign with those schools. Didn't sign Kentucky, Arkansas, or whatever. He signed with BYU. Now, BYU, for the past decade or so, I won't say been the mix for big recruits, but their names pop up every now and again about getting these top flight guys. They were in the mix for Jarabi Parker many years ago before he ultimately signs with Duke. And I think they were in the running for a couple of few guys, in that stretch as well. But this one right here, AJ Dybantsa, this is a big deal. This kid is like 6'9", 6'10", combo forward that, you look at the 2026 NBA mock draft. I know getting ahead there, but you're talking about a kid that's potentially a number one overall pick here in the 2026 draft. And, when I saw the signing and stuff like that, he and his father went on first take. They did that, whole presentation there up in New York. I was like, BYU? BYU? Now, first off, let's go with the real reason why that he didn't, sign with these upper schools. And basically, it comes down to money. He got a nice check from BYU, not him specifically, through his dad or parents, but he got a nice check from BYU to come to their school for 1 year. And, you look at it, look at the NIL era that we're in. Can't necessarily blame the kid, if they ponying up about $8 million to come play for your school for 1 year, you got to take that offer. Now, is it the best basketball fit, for AJ? Probably not. But if they're going to throw the bag at you like this, and, according to reports that they already had this deal done back in like mid-November, somewhere in there, and it really didn't come official till, I think like a couple weeks ago here in December. If that's the case, then this has been locked down for a while, and the funds got secured back in like early December. But to me, with this, and I thought about this, I was thinking about this, like, a lot of these schools like BYU, like these Christian schools, got a lot of money backing and stuff like that. A lot of, folks, not just, that fund the school, but also fund other things and stuff like that in politics and all that good stuff. A look at Liberty University, Notre Dame, schools in that matter. And it gets you to thinking about those schools, stuff like that got big donors and all that type of stuff and big money, all that. Do more of these schools kind of like trying to get these top recruits to play for them for 1 year? Hey, say, hey, come make our school look good. Come play for us. We'll throw you X amount of dollars. Come play for us. And if, for most of these kids, it's two things like this. Two things. I say it like this. One, you get in the bag, play college basketball for a year. Two, and I said this in the past shows when we did like the podcast, the straight radio podcast shows. It's always good to be connected with the school. I know the G League is nice, stuff like that, but I always think like if these kids go to a school, you always get like a connection there. Even if it's like for 1 year, whatever, blah, 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 whatever. You always want to get a connection with the school because you always at least need a place to come back home, unless you burn that bridge with that school. Now looking at you, Sean McCants. But me speaking as an Alabama fan, Colin Sexton, what came in 1 year, whatever, did his thing, still comes around every once in a while. When he has time. And granted, this is like well past after Avery's gone. He still comes around to the school. So I just use him as an example, like, kind of need that base, because you can go straight to the league and stuff like that. But I think it's always good for these college kids, and especially in basketball, like to go, if you're going to one and done, go to school for 1 year, get that, competition there, work on some things and stuff like that. Instead of trying to go straight to the G League, in which I'm not saying you'll get good coaching there, but it's just like, I think it's just, you get better limelight in a sense, coming through college, going to the NCAA tournament if your team makes it, and then you got like a little buzz to yourself after the NCAA tournament to like maybe get more eyes of you going to the NBA, which the NBA kind of desperately needs right now. But you kind of get my point. So him signing with BYU, it shocked me at first just because there's a basketball fit. But you kind of look at it behind the scenes, stuff like that. If they forking out the most money above Bama, above Duke, Kansas, North Carolina, some of the schools can't compete with that, but it's kind of like, how high some of these teams are willing to go to pay. And school like BYU, Church of Latter-day, I think Latter-day Saints, I think so. They got that church money like that. It's gonna be hard to compete. And like I said before, do more of these schools kind of like take trying to take chances to get these big time recruits, or does it force these other schools to kind of get their NIL money up? Those go to Greg Burns, say, hey man, talk to Paul Bryant, somebody trying to get the money up, man. I'm missing out on these recruits, man, that should be coming here by losing out to BYU. Bill Self, same thing. Hey man, I'm losing dudes to BYU. What's going on here? So, congrats to BYU. To get to signing AJ Dybantsa. I read this article from Matt Norland from CBS Sports. And he basically said, he could have played anywhere, which is obvious. It seemed like his asking price to extent was which is approximately like $5 million. That BYU, North Carolina, and Alabama were able to meet his asking price, which was approximately $5 million. According to sources at schools on Dybantsa's list of finalists, that deal is considered the largest for any college basketball player ever. That NIL deal will come directly from BYU's collective, according to Leonardo Armato, Dybantsa's business advisor. So yeah, some of these schools match, but I think BYU kind of put more money into it. He's playing at Utah Prep, for his final year of basketball. So I think that played a factor into things and getting things done out there as well. All that good stuff. Let's see. And shout out to our NorCal Sports show. He said BYU is a Mormon school. Okay, I figured one of those two things, but I know being a Utah and stuff, I wasn't too sure, but I appreciate that correcting me on that. So yeah, the Mormon school, Mormons got a lot of. I mean, they do got a lot of money out there, but we'll see how things shake out for him. If I look up BYU's recruiting class, let me pull that up real quick. Let's see, 2025. Come on. So right now, in that class, AJ Dybantsa, number one player, got him. Then they got the 23rd rate player, center Xavier Staten. So you got a big man to go along with, with your swing player. And then you got another 4 coming in, Chamberlain Burgess, 6'9" forward out of American Fort, Utah. So that's what they got so far. As a recruiting class in 2025, I think you probably add like a nice guard, a nice lead guard out there in that class, and then probably maybe spend some more money getting like a nice, well-rounded squad to kind of go all in 2025. Because you only got this kid for 1 year, so why not spend the money and try to do the damn thing and win the championship? I come in, spend the money, recruit, and try and do the damn thing 1 year. Kind of use this as a flyer to have, use your resources and kind of try to be one of those big teams in basketball. Come in like it was one of the big talks in the preseason talks in college basketball. Better than Auburn, better than Alabama, Kansas, North Carolina, Duke, Marquette, Oregon. So they could be better than these schools. And hoping, this thing don't flop. That's the thing. And this is the main thing I'm trying to get at. It's like, don't spend all his money and let this thing be a flop. Don't let this thing, AJ, come in and things don't go well from the word go. Because if this don't work out, it don't matter how much money you're going to throw in. The recruits ain't going to go there. If AJ has a bad experience, then no other top recruit's going to go there. Now, never say money talks, but after a while, like all money ain't good money. And you don't want that stigma, attached to your program. BYU has always been a solid program. I think we all know that. But if you want to try and get to the next step, this is the way to do it. All right. I went long off there. I'm going to take my first break. Coming out on the other side of this break, we'll talk, NBA Cup, all that good stuff. Thunder, Bucks, how they're going to match up. I'm talking about semifinals for a little bit. And then also, Jimmy Butler's in trade rumors. So, will he be moved before the trade deadline or at the trade deadline? So, I'll discuss that and much more here on Fast Break Live for iSports Radio. You're the read for all sports. I'll catch you on the other side.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
All right, and we're back here live for Fast Break Friday Sports Radio, your week for sports. And excuse me. And joining me for for the second half of the show, because I had to get my thoughts on AJ Dybantsa, talk on my own. And I'll get D-Locke's further thoughts next week as well, because we were kind of like both shocked about that. Like, damn, BYU, but then you kind of look at it like, damn, the money and all that stuff. But he's a college coach, so I next week I'll talk about get his thoughts on that and what his thoughts on that and all that stuff in the future and all that good stuff. But I'm waiting for him to pop up. But I'll be joined up by our host of Set Point, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Excuse me, co-host of 3 Out College Edition and an IE Sports Radio Hall of Famer, one Mr. Taryn Rodriguez. And I'm just waiting for him to pop up here. We'll do some NBA talk here. There we go. How you doing tonight, sir, Mr. Rodriguez?
Hey, Davidson. Great to be on here. It's been a minute since I've been on Fast Break. Probably since when Phil Jones and Phil Robinson were hosting the show. But yeah, I'm here. I got my Michael Jordan jersey on. I'm ready to talk some hoops.
All right. The first segment, I talked about AJ Dybantsa signing with BYU, which I think pretty good, for BYU to spend that church money to get big recruits. And I kind of wonder, if more of those, schools like a Liberty and so forth started, to kick around the idea like spend money on these big kind guys of 1-year rentals, can it change the landscape of college basketball? Time will tell. I think this will be the experiment per se, but time will tell. We'll see how that shakes out. But Mr. Rodriguez, we got the NBA Cup coming up. The finals coming up on Tuesday. Just a lone game by itself. It's going to be ABC, front and center, Thunder, Bucks, the whole shebang, $1 million for everybody, all that good stuff. Let me get your thoughts on this. You talk, Clippers, Lakers on the SoCal show.
Yes.
Your thoughts. I always kind of want to get I always meant to get your thoughts on this. What do you think of the NBA Cup so far, 2 years in your humble opinion? And what can they do kind of like jazz it up a little bit? Because like last year, okay, we got the buzz of it. And then this year, all right, we know it's here, but it's not the buzz ain't like it was last year. What can you think the NBA should do to kind of jazz it up a little bit in your opinion?
That's a good question. I mean, everyone was expecting like big market teams to be in the Final Four, like maybe Lakers, Clippers, Golden State, Boston. And then when I think the ticket prices eventually found out that those teams weren't in it, and I guess we should throw in the Knicks as well, then the ticket prices went down. But I think those are reasonable. Those are two reasonable teams, the Thunder and the Bucks. Those are two actually pretty good teams. I know the Bucks kind of got off to such a slow start because of all their tough losses, but I think they're starting to get the hang of it. I think they're starting to put everything together. Now, my big thing is for the in-season tournament, it's tough to really say. Like maybe have it like toward the All-Star break. That way that teams that don't make it to the NBA Cup knockout round will get an extended period of rest and whatnot. So I would say maybe have the NBA Cup at close to the All-Star break instead of like maybe having it like the 1/3 or 1/4 of the way through the season.
That's interesting. I know when me and D-Law talked about it, we thought about I threw out the idea like, well, and kind of you gotta think about it. And sometimes you say things and then you kind of go back and think about it. Like, if these teams had their first round pick, you guarantee a spot in the lottery selection. I thought about that, but I'm like, damn, that don't make no sense because you always making trades and all that stuff, so that won't hold. But I thought about this here recently. guarantee if whoever wins, you guarantee them a spot in the top 6 in the playoff race.
Mm-hmm.
Now they finish, first, on top of their conference, whatever. But they guarantee a spot in the top 6. So if they're the worst record within the top 6, they put you slide to number 6, whatever. But I'm thinking.
I'm sorry. I would say I agree. I think that's a very good idea.
And I think you gotta incentivize these teams to kind of compete more. All right, and probably incentivize some of these coaches kind of be more motivated instead of like going through the motions and stuff like that. That's just my opinion. Like, how can you motivate these coaches and teams to kind of like compete and stuff like that? Why not guarantee them a playoff spot? It's just a thought, because what if next year, hey, we're talking about the Hornets, they kind of, still kind of struggling, and they win the NBA Cup, find some momentum, they can make a playoff run next year. I mean, that next following year. Who knows? I was thinking, so the NBA got to do something to jazz it up just a bit, in my humble opinion, because I think people are kind of tired of it. The payoffs are nice for the players, especially those lower end guys, but I think they got to do something else to kind of bring more attention and stuff like that, in my humble opinion. What you think?
Yeah, I actually think, like you've mentioned, that's actually, I never would have thought of that, but yeah, a top 6 guaranteed spot, I think would be great, and that would motivate teams to just play their hardest. Because I know last year was the first year, and then the Lakers wound up winning it, which I know everyone and their mothers in the NBA was happy. But you also got to remember that sometimes if you have that momentum and that win streak when it comes to the NBA Cup, you sometimes could hit that little bit of a low, because after the Lakers wound up winning the NBA Cup, they just hit a little bit of a rough patch, and they were barely able to inch their way into the play-in tournament. So I think, and that definitely did not do them any favors, even though they didn't have to travel that far from New Orleans to play the Pelicans in the play-in round. But I think, yeah, give some more motive and incentive for teams to like really go hard and go at it in terms of the NBA Cup. And who knows, maybe just tinker with it, maybe try to move it, like maybe have it in the summer. Maybe summer's not a good idea, but maybe have it like, again, I pitched the idea of before the All-Star break for more rest, maybe even after the All-Star break. So that's just my opinion. I mean, maybe somewhere around that range, but I do like the idea of having a guaranteed playoff spot no matter what happens. But then the drawback of that is, if a team like, let's say Chicago or Washington or Portland, perfect example. Let's say one of those teams manages to win the NBA Cup, and then they're in the playoffs, while a team that has been fighting tooth and nail that gets left out of the play-in round is basically going to be left out. I know you have to win when you have to win and make sure you don't get in that situation. But would we really want to put a bottom feeder like Portland into the postseason? Because then they could just rest up all their starters and stars, and then they'd be the number 6 seed. And then if they get a favorable matchup in the first round, then they would most likely win with that, with most of their starters like rested or not even fully, because at that point you might as well just not even play the season. You might as well just have the players practice and whatnot, and then maybe play occasionally or have load management. So yeah, I'm rambling at this point, but that is a very good point. I mean, it has its drawbacks and whatnot, but a very valid point.
And now I kind of look at it like this, like, you got to get people engaged. And then you don't, and you try to find ratings and stuff like that, and people involved in all that stuff. If the Knicks per se, if they won that game against the Hawks this past week, and they won the tournament and got a secure spot in the top 6, okay, you guarantee that New York audience is going to be there. And then like you mentioned, just because you kind of guarantee yourself spot in the playoffs don't mean you kind of don't start playing ball. My thing is like, can you build momentum? Can you continue to grow as a team? You don't after the tournament stop rest your players. If Portland, for example, made it to the finals, stuff like that, you still play Anthony Simons, Donovan Klingman, all those young guys trying to get more reps with them and stuff like that. But and playoff time comes around, they're ready to go. It'll be their first playoff series. And, with Chauncey as a playoff veteran and stuff like that in his playing days, you got something there. Got a mentor there to lead you the way. But, I think it's the idea to shoot off. We'll see next year what they kind of do to tinker it, because we're 2 years in and, the luster's kind of down. Now, you mentioned about the ticket price and stuff like that. If you're getting good tickets prices like that for games like that, why not go? And especially if you're in Vegas and stuff like that, or you're a fan of one of those teams, that's a nice trip to Vegas right there before Christmas, all that good stuff. So why not take advantage of that, in my humble opinion? Especially you living up in Milwaukee, where it's like trying to get cold and all that good stuff. If you got the money like that to go out to Vegas for a little bit, watch your team play, why not take advantage of it? But to kind of talk about the game Tuesday, Thunder Bucks, you had the Bucks winning against the Hawks 110-102 on Saturday with I'm pulling up right now. With Giannis leading away with 32 points, 14 rebounds for him, 10 for 15 shooting for him. Damian Lillard, 25 points for him as well. Off the bench for Milwaukee, 10 points for Bobby Portis, 9 rebounds, almost a double-double for him. On the other side of things for the Hawks, 35 points for Trae Young, I think he's trying to find his groove again, his moxie again after last season. 50 points for Jalen Johnson. Off the bench, 50 points for DeAndre Hunter. Mr. Rodriguez, have the Bucks kind of found themselves again?
I think they have. I think were you about to say something?
Well, yeah, go ahead. Now, had they found their groove after they did disastrous start of the season? Had they found themselves back to one of the better teams in the NBA, in your humble opinion?
Yeah, I think they have. I mean, it's still a pretty long season. I mean, I feel the NBA is more of a marathon rather than a sprint. Not like the NFL where it's just 17 games, and if you mess up a few weeks or have a bad losing streak, then that can cost you your season. But in the NBA, I think a team, if they have like a little bit of a losing streak, not like a Washington Wizards losing streak or a New Orleans Pelicans losing streak, I think you could overcome that. But if you're continuously losing, then it's going to make things tougher and tougher to making the playoffs or the play-in. But the Bucks, to answer your question, I think the Bucks have kind of found their momentum. I've never really seen them as a bad team. I know some fans want to write off the Bucks and say, hey, the Bucks are not good. Maybe they should trade away. Some were even saying they should trade Giannis Antetokounmpo, which I think was pretty bad, if you ask me. It's like, come on. It's like they're off to a bad start. I think they're like 2-9 at one point, or 2-11, and you're asking them to trade them. It's like, no. So I think the Bucks have found their momentum, but can they hang with the Thunder? Thunder is a very good team. I wouldn't be surprised if the Thunder wound up winning fairly easily. I mean, if they can knock down the three, then they're such a deadly team. And I think it is safe to say, and I know we're going way back to 2019-20, but I want to say they wound up winning the Paul George trade by a landslide, because they literally reaped the benefits of those rewards. The Clippers got rid of Paul George, who unfortunately is injured with the Sixers. But yeah, the Thunder are really reaping the benefits of the rewards when it comes to the Paul George trade, and they struck gold with that deal.
I think I'll look at like this, previewing this championship game. You know, a lot of people kind of damn near wrote the Bucks for dead. And, you know, credit the Doc and company to kind of like let things, you know, hold the form and then kind of like ride the wave and stuff like that. You know, they got Milton back in the fold of things. I think that's one of the major pluses right there, if we're going to be real. Getting him back to the fold of things kind of helped, you know, scoring and stuff like that, you know, and on that side, on that front of things. You know, Giannis has been playing well, pretty consistent all year. You know, Gary Trent Jr., a guy who I like them signing for a very cheap deal. You know, they started him off in the season, but really had to materialize that they hope. They moved to the bench and kind of seeing different results there. So for the Bucks, you know, for a team that are in the bottom by the end of November, right now they're in the 6th spot in the East. They got a chance to kind of use this if they win the Cup Tuesday to kind of say, hey, guys, we know we started off low. Okay, we're about to win the NBA Cup here before the holidays, you know, before our game of Christmas. Now, okay, game of Christmas, if we win this Cup, comes to the New Year strong, hey, can we rise up in the standings? Orlando's out with their top 2 players right now, in Banchero and Wagner. Miami, very solid team, but they got an issue with Jimmy Butler right now. You know, other than that, you know, New York's finally, you know, they're coming around. Boston and Cleveland are kind of like the class of the East right now. So, you know, win this Cup, kind of finish out strong for the rest of the year. If you're the Bucks, hey, you can take that number 4 spot. You could potentially take the number 3rd spot. And now you can kind of chip at the top there. So if you're the Bucks, it's highly incentive if you win this to just build momentum. I mean, you can say you can lose and still try and build momentum off it, but if you win this Cup, you got like hey guys, we're kind of back in fold of things. If you're Doc Rivers, I say, hey guys, we started off bad, but now we're kind of back in the swing of things and stuff like that. So there, if you're the Bucks, hey, this should be a great signal for you and your fan base that hey, we're back. Don't forget about the noise early in the year, but we're back into the fold of things.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Bucks need to go all out. It can't just be the Giannis Antetokounmpo show. They need help from all their players, and they need contributions and whatnot. And honestly, this may sound cliche. I just think running a zone defense would not be ideal, because if you run zone, then OKC will probably be making more threes than not. Now that we've mentioned the NBA Cup playoffs, I actually did get a chance to see the the Rockets and the Warriors, which, oh my God, when the Warriors were up, I think they were up 6, well, like late in the game. Houston cut the lead to 3, and then they cut it to 1, and then there was that scramble for the ball where it was Golden State's second to last possession. Steph Curry missed a 3, and then they called a foul on the Warriors, and the Rockets proceeded to make both free throws, and the Warriors eventually lost that one. But I just want to get your take. What did you think of that play if you saw that game? I know that was kind of like a late game for you, but man, that was just baffling in my opinion. That's the worst way to lose if you're Golden State.
I didn't see the game like again. Well, I don't say get to the age, but I get to the age like, you know, the 2-year-old wears me out, man. We go to bed, we go together. So I didn't exactly see the play, but I saw Steve Kerr's reaction, and I think, let me say this. I always say this about Steve Kerr. Sometimes when he overreacts, he overreacts. Like it's no evil kill. It's like it goes here too much for me. But you know, he got his money's worth. He got fined and whatnot. I think for me, you know, in late game situations like that, you know, the refs, they're gonna call what they're gonna call. We all know we watch basketball. We have watched basketball for a long time. Y'all listen to the show. Shout out to the chat. Mikey Two Guns, how you doing tonight, sir? Marcus Los Great in the chat as well. Always Arizona Sports. Shout out to you in the chat as well. We all watch basketball long enough to know, like, some refs call, some don't, some call tight, some call lose, some let the game go in late game situation like that. Now, if it's blatant, they'll call it. Like, some of these refs want to try to just get out and go home. I've been a part of that as well. So, the call, it is what it is on that. All the refs ain't gonna make every single call. Well, we watch other sports. You cover volleyball. Sometimes some calls don't go right. Sometimes the ball may be on the line, maybe not. Maybe this person touched the net. While they hitting the ball, whatnot. They don't call it. This kind of subjective in a sense. So it sucks for the Warriors, a team that started pretty strong this year. We're going to be real about that. But now we kind of, it sucks for them because, a loss like this puts them back more in the standings after a strong start. And now you kind of look at them in the standings. Right now, they're number 5 behind Dallas, Houston, Memphis, and OKC. And the Memphis team that started off not too good, but now they kind of back in number 2 and things. So it sucks for Golden State, and it sucks for them not going to Vegas to kind of compete for that NBA Cup championship. But for them, I think, it's not the worst thing in the world. I know Steve Kerr's trying to fight for his team, but sometimes, I guess it's trying to show that the NBA Cup is worth it playing for. And for him to take that, dive on the sword, I give him credit for that.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, I mean, I will say, yeah, he was disappointed that his team wasn't going to go to Vegas, but the sun shines. The sun came up tomorrow, the following day, for the Warriors and Steve Kerr, and honestly, maybe they could use that. My theory is the game should never get put into the hands of the officials. Like, the Warriors had their chances, and I think the commentators said, I think it was Chris Webber and Sparrow Ditas on the call. No, I'm sorry, not Chris Webber. Grant Hill. He said that Charles Barkley or the Inside the NBA crew said it. They said that Steph Curry should have dribbled out the ball and drained the clock instead of just jacking up a 3 and whatnot. And that could have made things a whole lot tougher, because I don't think if the Rockets got the ball in the backcourt, I don't think they could have advanced. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I think jacking up that 3 a little bit more prematurely was not really the most ideal thing for Steph and the Warriors, but it's a learning process and it's a learning curve. And would they have beaten the Thunder? That's still my thing, but who knows? Maybe they could have had a better matchup. Maybe they would have been a better matchup for the Thunder instead of the Rockets. But I will say this for the Rockets, their turnaround has been so amazing. Their turnaround needs to be studied, because they seem to get the better of the Clippers, and I didn't even know they were number 3 in the standings. It's like number 2 or number 3 in the standings in the Western Conference. And it's like, wow.
I think, and me and D-Law talked about this like, I think last year, last year, about Yume Yukata, that situation, him and Boston, all that good stuff. We talked about that. It's like, yeah, what he did is bad, but did it warrant a year-long suspension? Now, Boston, they didn't fall off. They still had their solid squad and whatnot, Tatum and Brown. And the machine kept going, and they eventually won the championship last season. But you kind of wonder, if Yukata was still in the fold, could they win the championship beforehand? We'll never know that. But, you saw the hot commodity that he was, that Brooklyn was going to pick him up. Like, they were trying to pick him up immediately. And what shape would that franchise would be with him in the fold? But the NBA blocked that and whatnot, whatever. And then he gets to Houston. Man, it's just like, okay, they got some solid guys, and can they piece some things together? Jalen Green, can he be more efficient? Sagoon, very good guy down low. Robbie Smith still trying to find his way in the league. But now, him and his discipline now in the fold. I mean, granted, yeah, they lost Saturday night's game to OKC, but you kind of see the promise from the team. Amin Thompson, or there's a Soar. Amin Thompson, I got it right. Yeah, I got it right first time. Amin Thompson, slowly working his way to be one of the better two-way players in the league. Fred Van Fleet got the veteran there. Jalen Green, very high volume scorer. Just hopefully the off the court stuff don't affect his play and whatnot. It should not, but you never know with these things. And it's like a good balance with that roster. Good big man, got some nice young pieces to compete for the next couple years. Cam Whitmore's not playing right now. A guy I wish the Lakers would have grabbed. I still baffled by that decision. And I think the Rockets, granted they didn't win, I think it's not the worst thing in the world for them.
Right.
And, for OKC, I think for them, winning yesterday's game is just kind of another step. If they got championship goals, Taryn, to use this as a never stepping stone to the NBA championship. I think last year, them not, making it, past the Mavericks, it sucks. But you talking about like a lot of inexperience within that group, including coaching. Now, you still got the same group. You had a couple other veteran guys in there, like Crooks and Hartenstein. Now we kind of like, okay, now we're talking championship title contention. Chet Holmgren's out right now, which sucks, because it helps to their success. But thoughts on the game. Who wins between the Thunder and Bucks in your opinion?
I think the Thunder. I think if the Thunder come out firing on all cylinders, they should win this one. But don't count the Bucks. I mean, they obviously have one of the top players in the NBA. But if I had to pick, I'd pick the Thunder easy.
You think the Thunder will win?
Yeah.
When they were without Hartenstein and Holmgren, and they're doing the small ball thing, I really liked it. Now they got Hartenstein back. They got a legit big man down low. You can play off him a little bit more and stuff like that and take things inside. It's real tough. It's real tough to go with. Giannis is playing very great right now. Listen, we talked about the big man issue, for OKC. Like, if Hartenstein getting foul trouble, going to get, Giannis driving downhill and stuff like that, could he get an early foul trouble? And once they get early foul trouble comes about, can Giannis take advantage of that? I don't. In OKC, they could throw out Caruso on Lillard at times, along with the other young dudes as well, like Dort, Wallace. Like, a lot of those dudes can match up with Lillard like that. But I think for Milwaukee to win Tuesday, it's like, can Chris Middleton give me 20 points? Like, can Chris Middleton give me 20 points? Can Gary Trent give me at least 10? Can Bobby Portis give me a nice double-double off the bench? I think those things happen for Milwaukee. I think they can win this game. I think Giannis is going to do his thing. I think Lillard will do his thing for the most part. But, like you mentioned, I think OKC's coming. I'm going to side with you. I think OKC's coming. They're going to take this championship. I think, like I said before, I think it would be great for the Bucks to win, for their confidence and whatnot for the rest of the year. but I think OKC, they're coming. I think we talked about this with the Clippers. You know, that trade.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of see the steps to this point, and I think the Thunder might win this game. Your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think for the Bucks, like I mentioned, they need contributions from everybody. Like you mentioned, those players, Gary Trent Jr. He definitely, I think, is going to be a big X factor for this team. Chris Middleton, he's another big key piece for this Bucks team. I feel that if the Bucks are going to win, they're going to need to play up to their competition. I feel the Thunder, as you mentioned, they're on the come up, and everyone talks about like the mainstream teams like the Nuggets and whatnot, but the Thunder are just as good. And then Minnesota might be getting their bearings back, but I think for this OKC team, if they want to prove that they're the best, they got to pass some tests. And I did not mean to rhyme that, but yeah, OKC, I want to see them actually have a full season of, I wouldn't say competency, but a full season of consistency. Yeah.
So we'll put a bow on that. You know, we'll see who wins. I think both of us got the Thunder winning that game on Tuesday on ABC. So y'all do. So it's on broadcast TV. So y'all can watch that. Some of y'all complain about can't watch games. It's on broadcast TV on ABC. Get you a digital antenna, do something, and watch the game. But after these couple commercial breaks, Taryn, I want to talk to you about LA basketball before we close the show. That means Lakers, Clippers, UCLA, USC. So we'll talk LA basketball on the other side of the break. But this is Fast Break here live for Ice Sports Radio. You're the read for all sports. We'll catch you on the other side.
Hey, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jen D, host of the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in live to the Show of the Land on Tuesdays, where we will cover the Cleveland Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and Monsters. We will also talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets, Crew, Fury, and of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll also cover other colleges in the area like Akron, Kent State, Cleveland State, Mount Union, John Carroll, Baldwin Wallace, Youngstown State, among others. So like I said, if you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in Tuesdays to the Show of the Land with Jen B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we're back here for Fast Break here for live for IE Sports Radio. You're the week for all sports. And we're going to this finish show on a different note here. We got one Mr. Terry Rodriguez, host of Set Point that you just heard right there. Host of SoCal Supreme show, Sports Show, co-host of 3 and Out College Edition, and an IE Sports Radio Hall of Famer. Do check him out on Twitter/X at Terry Rodriguez1. Right there. That's his handle right there. So do give him a follow. If you're a big fan of volleyball, this is the man right here. Being honest, this is the man right here. Everything volleyball from every level in NCAA, especially the NCAA tournament going on right now, to high school. Going to these ladies' names, recruits, coaches, he's in there. So do give him a follow. Do give the show's page follow on Twitter/X and also on Instagram as well. He's on Instagram as well at Set Point as well. So do give him a follow on there as well. I want to talk to you real quick before we get out here about LA basketball talk. LA basketball right now is just kind of like it's happening, but it's not happening as well. Like, we know the players, we know who's out there, but it's still like, there's talk, but nobody's really good in a sense. Yeah, usually women's are pretty solid right now, and that's a good thing for them. But it's just like everything else is like, I don't say dead, but it's like the Lakers, they're okay, but they got the issues. The Clippers, they okay, but they got their issues. Let's start with the Lakers and Clippers real quick.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers got the Grizzlies tonight, a team that's kind of really risen up in the standings here the past couple weeks. LeBron's not playing. He's out for reasons. Your thoughts on the Lakers so far, and going to the chat real quick. Somebody brought it up earlier. What's your thoughts on the Lakers so far as JJ Redick as the coach, and what can this team to kind of, improve and whatnot, after, the NBA Cup ends and whatnot? Your thoughts on the Lakers so far?
Well, I think they kind of need to build around Anthony Davis. People are saying that this is LeBron James's team. I think this is starting to become more of Anthony Davis's team because he is the leader of most of the statistics for the Lakers, except for assists. Assists are all LeBron James. But yeah, looking at the Lakers, they have been a little underwhelming. Their game against Minnesota was a complete nightmare. I think they had like 22 turnovers, if I'm not mistaken. And you mentioned LeBron. You and I both mentioned LeBron. He's actually going to try to give it a go against the Grizzlies tonight. But honestly, if that's the case, if he's saying he's going to try to give it a go, then that's the indicator that he's not 100% and he shouldn't be playing. So against the Grizzlies, look, that's going to be a tough matchup right there. I think the Grizzlies are a good team. They're much better than they were last year with that whole debacle of Ja Morant and whatnot. But yeah, I think for the Lakers, I think maybe building, or Marcus just put it in the chat room. He says Lakers need more 3-point shooting, or Lakers need more guards. So I mean 3-point. This is becoming a 3-point league, and I mean, maybe they need to develop Dalton Connect more, because Dalton Connect is not a bad player by any means. I think Dalton Connect is a good player. He was probably one of the more steals of the draft for the Lakers. But I think they just need to build around Anthony Davis quite a bit and get maybe their more younger, less experienced players in. Because I know the Lakers have been battling injuries. I know LeBron's out. There are other players out. I think Christian Wood is out. I think Jalen Hood-Schifino is out, and so on and so forth. Like, this team's injury list is starting to get a little longer than expected. So I'm concerned for the Lakers tenfold. So we'll see what happens tonight. I don't really expect the Lakers to win, as disappointing as that may sound. But honestly, I think that if they're going to beat the Grizzlies, they're going to have to play perfect basketball. and they're really going to have to limit their mistakes and just make sure the Grizzlies just don't get their way.
Let me ask you this. With them playing the Grizzlies tonight, they're still having the same defense issues. Is there a way to slow down Ja Morant and Desmond Bane tonight, in your humble opinion?
Ja Morant and Desmond Bates? Well, I mean, putting Anthony Davis on Ja Morant would probably not be the best idea. I mean, I think Anthony Davis is more of a post player and whatnot, but in my opinion, I don't know if they could slow both of them down. I mean, who do they have for Ja Morant? I mean, to me, it would be interesting to see who guards Ja Morant, because whoever guards Ja Morant is going to have the toughest. That said player is going to have the toughest assignment of the night for the Lakers, and if they find a way to slow him down, then that's amazing right there. But I really don't know. It's like most of this team is either inexperienced or they just don't have the it factor to guard a player of the caliber of Ja Morant. I mean, I don't think putting Max Christie would be a good idea. Rui Hachimura, probably not. Bronny, even though he's on their roster, even though he's been popping back and forth with the G League and the Lakers, not really the best idea. I guess maybe Austin Reeves if that were the case, but I'm just not certain. I guess Austin Reeves would probably be the best decision. So you have that right there.
I think for me, going against this matchup, if you slow down Ja Morant, get him in foul trouble and stuff like that, I think they're going to work in your favor. I mean, down low, I mean, Jerry Jackson is a fine player, but I mean, he don't scare me down low like he should. He don't out rebound you, stuff like that. They got Brandon Clark back in the lineup, but I think the thing with them, they got a lot of swingman forwards that can pop outside and stuff like that. And I think that's what makes them dangerous. And that kind of what killed them last time they played in Memphis. Like, they've just, the bench guys were just getting open looks and stuff like that. It's like, damn, can y'all go out and guard somebody or something, or stick with somebody? So I think, this matchup here, kind of get Ja Morant going not going like have a career night, but get him going so much, get him hot that you can get him in foul trouble early and kind of slow him down. They can go to that backup reserve guard, Marcus Smart and whatever. But hell, even you do that, Marcus Smart and Scottie Pippen Jr., those guys have been playing pretty damn well this year. And you talk about Scottie Pippen Jr. that the Lakers had in his system for a couple of years, let him go, and now he's going to Memphis, being a fine role player that you need right now. So it's just like they could win this game, but I could see Memphis maybe blowing them out in my humble eyes. But I want to ask you this, staying on the top of the Lakers, and we talk about the roster a little bit. Should Robert Pelinka's seat be a little warm right now?
I'm sorry. What about what did Rob Pelinka say?
No, should Rob Pelinka be on the hot seat just because how the roster is, how things are stagnant with this team? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Rob Pelinka. I don't know how Rob Pelinka gets away with this. Like, how does Rob Pelinka have the longest leash when it comes to being the Lakers general manager? And I get he had the relationship with Kobe Bryant and he was his agent and whatnot, but how does this dude continue to find ways to not get fired? Like, I'm sorry. I mean, I got a lot of respect for Rob Pelinka and, with what happened with the bubble championship. Yes, that is still an NBA championship, and how he brought Anthony Davis over and whatnot, and how the Lakers made the Western Conference Finals a couple seasons ago. But I think Rob Pelinka should be on the hot seat. So, yeah, to answer your question, Rob Pelinka should be on the hot seat because this dude has been getting away with everything for all the time. And everyone seems to either let him get away with it or just give him a little slap on the wrist. But Pelinka either has to take full advantage of everything that's happened or he's got to go. He's got to get the hook.
I think for me, real quick on this, I think for Rob, it's just like it's tough. Like I understand you don't want to be taken for a fool in trades because we talked about on the show before, like so many guys that the Lakers were kind of after, we seen get traded for less of value elsewhere. Like Bogdanovich, we got traded to the Knicks. They were asking for 2 first-round picks, and next time you turn around, he's going to trade for a second and a couple role players. So I understand not being taken for a fool in the trade market from these teams. I get that. But also in the same sense, look what you kind of done with the roster. Gabe Vincent,
Mm-hmm.
a guy that I thought, hell, when we signed, I was like, damn, we finally got like a quality guard. And now I won't say he's a lemon, but it's just like, where's the nice role player from Miami that kind of scraped the claw onto that roster? Max Christie. I say on the show multiple times, I don't know what his thought process was signing him to that 4-year deal. I still don't get it. He didn't show enough to prove to get $30 million. I know it's like an investment that you trying to save face on a second-round pick, but he's a second-round pick for a reason.
I will also say I wish the Lakers had drafted Jaime Jaquez in that same draft because right when the Miami Heat had that pick, it was right after the Lakers had drafted. So, yeah, I really wish Jaime Jaquez would have gone to the Lakers. I mean, would he have had the same career? We'll never know. But honestly, Jaime Jaquez staying home with the Lakers would have been so amazing. It would have been probably a storybook ending not storybook ending, a storybook chapter in Jaime Jaquez's career because he's been pretty much LA ever since he's been born. I mean, the dude went to UCLA, had a fantastic career, and he could have kept that career going in LA if he were a Laker. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And yeah, I mean, it's still a time will tell process when it comes to Rob Pelinka. I mean, I have mixed feelings about him. I don't hate the guy. I mean, he's done good, but he's also, we haven't really seen the progress from the Lakers because the Western Conference continues to get better and better. I mean, the Nuggets and Timberwolves, those are 2 teams, even though the Nuggets had a exit in the Western Conference semifinals. You got the Thunder that are on the rise. Golden State is still good, even though they got rid of Clay. They still have Steph Curry. Clippers are still on the come up. They're still a consistent playoff team. The Suns I have mixed feelings about. The Kings are also the team that I have mixed feelings about. Dallas, I mean, with Luka Doncic, they're still an amazing team. Houston's on the come up. Grizzlies have turned it around. I can't really say too much about the Pelicans and the Spurs just because the Spurs are still in that young rebuilding process and the Pelicans are just in a world of hurt. Lakers still won the Anthony Davis trade, by the way.
Yes.
Had to make note of that.
And, you brought up, some of these teams. Let's talk about the Clippers real quick. Paul George is gone. They didn't want to resign him for reasons, whatever. And it seems right now they got the better end of that right now. Time will tell on that. Your thoughts on the Clippers so far? For me, I said on the show multiple times by Steve Ballmer, I think he's been great for the league. He was desperately needed from Donald Sterling because Donald Sterling, and as an LA resident, never did nothing with that team. It's like something he just had, But with Steve Ballmer, he took this team, got out of, well, I know it's crypto, but Staples.
Yes, it'll forever be Staples.
Bought the old form from
The
what's his
Great
name?
Western Forum.
Yeah. From what's his name in New York, the New York Knicks owner for $10 billion. Say, hey, I'm gonna make this thing my own. And looking lo and behold, made that that arena really nice.
Yeah, Intuit Arena is really cool.
And I give him all the praise for that. But I think for me, with him, I think you staring the barrel at the gun that some point in time a reset got to happen with this team.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on the Clippers season so far? And I know they were at the top of the top 6, but it kind of dipped down now. What do you think this team could do to kind of get back into that top 6 level?
Yeah, my thing for the Clippers is this. Well, last year was a pleasant surprise for the Clippers. I think everyone predicted them to be really bad and miss the playoffs, but they finished on top of their division, and they unfortunately got, or was it 2 years ago? Either way, the Clippers were projected to be fairly bad, but then they surprised everybody, and even though they lost in the first round to Dallas, the Clippers just had a season where everyone was like, wait, the Clippers are doing good? So my thing about the Clippers is they bring in these big names. They're consistent on making the playoffs. That's good and all. But what have they done ever since they made it to the Western Conference Finals? Like, that year was an amazing and tremendous year. Everyone was praising the Lakers after they won the championship that year. But the Clippers just ran into a buzzsaw in Phoenix. And my huge concern is, and this is something I talked about on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show this past Friday, Kawhi Leonard. The dude continues to be injured. He was supposed to be the harbinger of the Clipper curse. But now it seems like the Clipper curse has gotten to him because the dude just has not been able to play a full season. And I don't know what to expect with Kawhi Leonard anymore. I mean, the Clippers gave up a lot for him. And what has Kawhi done? He got them to close to the Western Conference Finals the bubble year. He got him to the Western Conference Finals, even though he didn't play. But it seems like the Clippers get these big-time names, but they just don't seem to do anything with them. So my thing is for the Clippers, and this is good that they got Tyronn Lue, they have these middle players who actually seem to be doing decent. I mean, it would have been great if the Clippers had kept Russell Westbrook, because I will say this, Tyronn Lue revived Brody's career. He revived Brody's career just like he revived Ivica Zubac's career. Well, the Clippers kind of revived Ivica Zubac's career after the Lakers traded him. I think the Clippers, they seem to do better with like middle tier players or like players below average, and then they get turned into decent players and like players that really contribute to the Clippers, as opposed to like these top players that are super well known with one another, and then they get hurt, they get banged up, and then now they're at the role player position and they could be on the verge of getting released. So again, my biggest concern is, will Kawhi Leonard still be the best player even after this knee injury? Will the Clippers just have to let him go? Will they trade him for like a future picks and whatnot, or some cash considerations? Like that's my biggest concern for the Clippers.
I think you said it, Kawhi Leonard. When he's healthy, I think he's at least top 10 in the NBA. But man, that seems like a long time ago. And it's like you want to say, "Hey man, take the season off," but man, it's like he's always in the mid-30s.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like we ain't talking about a 20-something-year-old. We're talking somebody in his 30s, and that's why I kind of go back to the Steve Ballmer thing. Like you resign James Harden for a 2-year deal, you re-up Kawhi Leonard. I know you're trying to like keep the team competitive, but sometimes it's time for a reset. Kobe Brown, a first round pick. Shout out to Huntsville, Alabama, but first time back a couple years ago that you barely play like that. He's not really contributing to the team like that. Normal Powell's nice, but
yes,
he's to somebody like 4th, 5th option on a really good team. Zubac is fine for what he does. You know, and Harden, he's mid-30s as well. Batum, mid-30s. You know, Dunn, you know, great comeback story, but, you know, there's a reason why he's been bouncing around in and out of the league for all these years. So I was thinking, you know, it's good to be competitive, but sometimes, you know, you gotta reset things. And your trade idea to trade Kawhi, I don't know who's gonna take him. Like I don't know who will gamble on him like that.
They'd have to get him for like nothing or like just little to no cash considerations and whatnot. And Marcus just put it in the chat room. Bruh been trash since the Raptors. Well, he helped lead them to the NBA championship and an NBA championship, even though they lost to the beaten up Warriors. But still, they exercised the Drake curse. So it just seems like Kawhi just can't seem to stay healthy with the Clippers as opposed to his previous years, except for that one year where the Western Conference Finals where the Warriors played the Spurs and whatnot, and he landed on, I forget the guy. I think it was Matt Barnes. Yeah, or Harrison Barnes' leg. I think it was Harrison Barnes' leg, and then he got hurt, and he just wasn't really the same until he went to the Raptors and whatnot. But yeah, it sucks for Kawhi, but it's good that Norman Powell is been leading the fray, and James Harden's career has been revived. And like I mentioned, Ivica Zubac has turned into a strong big man and whatnot. I just wonder what else is, what other draft capital does the Clippers have? Because again, they trade most of those assets, those draft assets, from the Paul George trade to Oklahoma City. So I'm just hoping that for their sake, they still have some first or second round picks, because they may need to go a little younger in terms of their team. They can't just keep using like rental players or players past their prime. I mean, it's good that Tyronn Lue is still with the Clippers, and I think being on the Clippers might have been the best thing for him, because I think he's settled in for a home, and hopefully for his sake, he doesn't stink up to the point where Ballmer just says, "You're done." So I think they should keep Ty Lue. It's just that they got to change their personnel when it comes to their team. Maybe go younger, maybe build off of Norman Powell and whatnot. But it's just the Clippers are so confusing. Like sometimes they're good when they're not supposed to be, and then sometimes they're just underachieving when they're supposed to be good and they have expectations on them. So that's my thoughts on the Clippers.
Let me leave you off with this. Let me ask you this about the Clippers. If Kawhi, for whatever reason, don't come back, what should they do with him?
If Kawhi doesn't come back, I mean, if they can't find anybody to trade with, I mean, they just might have to this is harsh. They just might have to release him and whatnot, or just try to find some sort of trade partner. I mean, there has to be a team begging for a big man, whether heck, it can even be the Lakers, and then they could just trade him for like Hingle McCringleberry and whatnot. But I think for the Clippers, it's just starting to become more of a problem. I don't want to say this in a negative way, but I think Kawhi is becoming more of a liability than an asset. And it sucks because Kawhi is a respectable player. I mean, dude doesn't make the headlines for the negative reasons. He tries to make the headlines just to help his team and whatnot, but injuries just seem to get in his way. So I feel that they just got to move on from Kawhi if he just can't seem to play consistently, because the best ability is availability. And I just hate that Kawhi Leonard is having a slew of bad luck, but the Clippers need top talented players and the next man up if they want to compete in the Western Conference. Because, again, you said it best, they're clinging to that 6th spot. But if this keeps up, then they could be slipping down into the play-in round, which would be very uncharacteristic for the Clippers.
before I let you out of here, I want to bring this up right here before we get out of here. Talk about the ladies real quick in LA. UCLA, number one team in the country, playing very great ball right now. USC, crosstown, playing very well as well. They won today against Ilion, 88-30 with Juju Watkins with 26 points, 18 points for Eferian. If I pronounced that wrong, I apologize. 18 points for her. Going back to Saturday, the women's UCLA team, they win against Long Beach State 102-51.
Oh gosh.
And with Miss Lauren Betts, 22 points, 10 rebounds for her, 22 points for Angela Dugalak on that side of things. Before I let you out of here, top teams in the country in the ladies side of things, who is the better team between UCLA or USC? Who's the better team in your eyes so far into the season?
Well, I actually think that UCLA is the better team. Now, everyone had high expectations for SC. You know, they had the Elite Eight appearance. Juju Watkins returns. And then other stud players came to SC. But people forgot about how good UCLA was and how they got Lauren Betts. And remember, this was the team that took down South Carolina. I get it. It was in Loud Poly Pavilion where the fans were just deafening. There might have been 10,000 plus in that arena. But honestly, UCLA has been such a pleasant surprise. I knew they were going to be good just because I would never want to doubt UCLA just because they didn't lose much. And again, getting Lauren Betts was spectacular. But them overachieving is really amazing. And this is going to be I thought this was going to be a tough year for USC or UCLA. I mean, USC is still thriving. I know they had that loss to Notre Dame, but Notre Dame is still pretty decent. Now, for UCLA, I thought this was going to be a little bit of a combination of a transition year into the Big Ten versus a year of success. And they are taking the success and running with it and then some. And my thing is for UCLA, and I said this on my show, UCLA and USC play in the Big Ten. And there are a lot of ringers in that conference. Heck, even the teams that aren't even the teams that aren't the greatest in the Big Ten, they're still pretty darn good. Like Maryland, they're not ranked. I don't think they're ranked. I think they should be, but Maryland is number 7. So yeah, Maryland, that's a top team right there. Michigan State, another top team. Heck, even Oregon, which lost to USC, that team is pretty darn good, even though that team just fell out of the rankings. But yeah, the Big Ten in women's basketball, that is a legit conference. And you also can't count out Iowa. I know they've lost players to graduation and the NBA or WNBA draft and whatnot, aka Caitlin Clark, but doesn't mean that Iowa's not going to go anywhere. I mean, I think they're still a successful story. And for UCLA, it's just all about keeping up with everyone in the Big Ten. But I think with UCLA not having that spotlight on them, I think it's making them the much better team. But we still have to wait and see on when they play SC. Like USC, UCLA in women's hoops is going to be an instant classic. They play them twice, one on the 13th of February and one on March 1st. And that last matchup could decide the top seed of the Big Ten.
I think, for me, for both of these teams to be like a top where they're at right now, and the recruiting job that these coaches have done for the past couple of years has been really eye-opening. And for me, I kind of worry about all these teams going to the Big Ten like this because, yeah, it's nice you have your crosstown rivalry with you, and then you got Oregon and Washington to come along with you. And then, damn, I got to go across the country, play Maryland, Michigan State, Rutgers, Penn State, all those schools and stuff like that. And you wonder, where the balance is going to be at. for these ladies and whatnot. But so far things looking pretty good. Right now things look good. Now USC this upcoming Saturday got UConn.
Yep.
In a big time matchup. Before I let you out of here, who wins that big time matchup there? Big up matchup, Juju Watkins, Paige Buchers. Who you got in that matchup this upcoming Saturday?
Look, that's a big matchup for USC, and that would be a statement win if SC won. That's because, remember, UConn was the team that beat USC in the Elite Eight last year. And my thing is for SC, I want them to win that one. But my big problem is that UConn is just so deep. They're such a deep team. And Gino A is just such a fantastic coach. It's not trying to take away from the amazing job that USC's coach has done, Lindsay Gottlieb, but I think UConn kind of has the edge in this matchup. But now I will be the first one to say I was wrong. USC passed the test with flying colors if they beat UConn. But I just think that SC just does not have the team to keep up with UConn. I mean, UConn is going to, if anything for USC, they got to come into that matchup motivated and thinking that this is like an NCAA tournament match. And I think revenge is going to be on their mind because UConn ended that so promising season. And let's be honest, USC was neck and neck with UConn until UConn just caught fire in the third or fourth quarter. So I think for SC, I think they lose in a tight one, but I think USC can keep up with UConn.
I think for me, I think great thing that when they scheduled this game, they gave them at least a week, to prepare and all that stuff and get out and fly out all the way out to Storrs, Connecticut. I think that's positive right there.
Mm-hmm.
At least be out there by Thursday, rest, walkthroughs, all that stuff, and get ready for Saturday night. For me, I think it's going to be, I think like you alluded to, UConn's deep, and this USC won't get that link back against UConn from last year. I think from that, and then also from a point that, come tournament time, the committee look at these wins and stuff like that, wins, losses, it could put you like a 2 seed potentially, or maybe a 1 seed. And this matchup right here could determine that. Maybe not. Maybe we get ahead of ourselves right there. But yeah. I think like a game that kind of determines how things unfold come March, come seeding time. I won't go USC. I won't say an upset win, but I think USC is going to come out and play strong. It all depends on Juju if she comes out and plays strong. If she plays like garbage, she goes how his team goes. And
exactly.
If she come out and don't shoot well, then just stick a fork in USC. They ain't gonna win that game. But I think USC comes out strong. I think it'll be a close win for USC. And I think Juju at least gets 25 points in that matchup. I'll let you have last word.
Yeah, I think, what else would help for Juju is having such a great, strong supporting cast. I mean, yes, Juju can put up amazing numbers here and there and everywhere, but if she has the backup that USC has brought in terms of their recruiting and then the transfer portal and whatnot, it'll just make USC a much better team because Juju can dominate whenever she wishes. She is her. But if she has that supporting cast or if she's finding other players that are open, it just makes USC a much better team, and it makes that number 5 ranking completely accurate.
And I think also, with this, and I also think, when you say that, I think, with Juju's like, can you get these other girls involved early so come late in the game, you ain't forced to do everything, score all the points, stuff like that to get things going. So I think if she get these guys early, find her shots early as well, find a balance altogether, I think they'll go a long way for USC. And I think for Juju as a basketball player, I think that's one thing she got to learn how to do, get these other girls involved and not have them to be so dependent on her to win every game. because I think what happened last year. A lot of these girls, I mean, USC, excuse me, depended on her to do so much that the other girls at times, get left out in the cold. So we'll see what happens Saturday on that matchup there. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us, and shout out to Taryn Rodriguez for tuning in with us on the second half of the show. Like I said, the host of Set Point, SoCal Supreme Sports Show, co-host of 3 and Out, College Edition, and IE Sports Hall of Famer. Do follow on Twitter /X at Twitter, Taryn Rodriguez, one right there. Taryn, I'll let you have the floor. You got anything to plug?
Yeah, and also follow Set Point on X at set_point.ie and on Instagram at set_point.iesr. And you can follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on X as well at SoCal Show IESR. And X is where my personal account is at Rodriguez1. I post a lot of things, including my beloved Chargers losing, as Marcus said in the chat room. But Marcus, how are your Niners doing? But I digress. This is a basketball show. We're not talking football. So, yeah. One more shout out I have to give. UC Irvine men's basketball has been one of the better mid-major schools. I know they just lost to Oregon State, but they were ranked number 1 via, I think it was an online magazine. I think it was like College Prep Hoops and whatnot. But keep an eye on UC Irvine coming out of that Big West. They're not a team to be slept on.
So y'all heard the man there. Do give him a follow on Twitter /X. I appreciate you joining with me tonight, sir. You have a great night, sir. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Peace.
Do follow the show on Twitter at FastBreaker ISR. That's FastBreaker